What is up, everyone? I hope you're doing fantastic on this Monday now, and it is September 6th, 2021, and this is Raphael Garcia here to do the episode number 97 of Let's Talk Wrestling, where we'll be doing a recap of AEW All Out, where Bryan Danielson, Ruby Soho, and Adam Cole all debut for the promotion. Now, I am going to make a challenge to myself to see how long I can go before I call Daniel Bryan, or yeah, I already did it before I call Bryan Danielson Daniel Bryan. Let's see how long I can go without messing that up. But I have a lot to talk about today because this was a hell of a show. I'm in Chicago, actually right outside, and I got to attend the AEW All Out tonight, and it was an exceptional show. All time great pay per view, probably easily the best show I've been to live, and it was a hell of a ride from start to finish. I'm going to talk about some of the things I saw, some of the action from where I was sitting. I was sitting in a very good seat. I was in the 10th row, I think, right next to the stage, the entrance stage, so I had a very good slot there. But I'm going to talk about that. And before I do, though, I want to say, as always, thank you for everyone taking the time to listen to the show, supporting our content, and doing the such, listening to us every time we put out an episode. You can always find our shows over in a few different places. MMA ratings first and foremost .net and .com, where all of our written content is available over at the flagship. If you go over to Instagram or Twitter and search MMA ratings net, you can find us both there. On YouTube, you can check us out at MMA ratings in that location. MMA ratings is also available on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple, iTunes. Yeah, that's it. So let's get into the show because there's a lot to really talk about. Before I do that, though, I'm going to talk about just some quick hitters first, and let's really kind of dive into that. Okay? So let's start with some quick hits first. I want to say that Now Arena is actually not that bad. It's small. It's all the way out in Barrington, and it's kind of like the suburbs of Chicago. Some of my friends in the city didn't really know where it was, but it was not a bad location. Parking wasn't too tough. I enjoyed this spot. Of all the events I've kind of gone to, this is probably like the easiest location I've attended a show, other than DC. But I've never tried to drive into DC to go to a show there, so that's a different. Yeah, I arrived shortly after the last match of the buy-in. What's his name? Orange Cassidy's music was actually playing as I was walking into the arena, and I saw Dan Lambert doing his shit. I'm not even gonna call it a promo because that guy, he doesn't need to be on the show. Period. Dan Lambert does not need to be anywhere near this product, but they are bringing him in for some reason, pairing him with Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, I think is ridiculous. But I did get to see his speech during the buy-in as I was walking to my seat. Mask enforcement was nil at this show. Now they said that you needed a mask to get in, which you did. I was double masked up for the show, and I noticed a lot of people were walking around without them, period. Like not even on their face. And in their seats, mostly everybody didn't have them on. In my section, that was the guy to my left and to my right, we had our masks on, and one lady down the aisle. Everyone else didn't really have theirs on. Other people around us in other rows. But I specifically noticed that because that kind of stood out to me that with COVID-19 still being a thing, we are still in a global pandemic. That is something that caught my eye, and I wanted to kind of pay attention to that. It was definitely not me. I'm going to go get a COVID test like this week to make sure everything's still good, but that really stood out to me. And then the thing that probably stood out the most, and it's something that I'm talking about in a group chat right now, is there were 0 black men on the pay-per-view. None. Dante Martin came out during the pre-show private party when the tag team match in the pre-show, and then Scorpio Sky was in Dan Lambert second. Outside of that, 0 black men on the card. Big Swole, Jade Cargill, Nyla Rose were in the Women's Battle Royal. I would say Jade and Nyla kind of had some spotlight moments there. You know, Nyla eliminated more than a few people. I think Jade tossed out two, and she was basically turned on by Nyla, so they're setting up a feud there. And Big Swole eliminated Diamante before she was tossed out, and they fought on their way up the ramp to kind of keep that angle going on Dark and Dynamite, on Dark and Dark Elevation though. AEW needs to do something about this, and more people need to be talking about it. I haven't listened to any recaps. I've seen a couple people talking about it online, mainly black people, but it's still a conversation that needs to be had because they really just put on their biggest pay-per-view of the year and didn't figure in to include any black men on the card. That says a lot to me. It really says a lot about where we are with professional wrestling as a whole, but this isn't new. This is going to be, this is really kind of where we are when it comes to wrestling, and it really isn't going to change unless the people watching forces to change, but I don't think enough people really care outside of those minority groups where people care. And the thing is, AEW does a good job featuring some people because they feature white women. They feature, the Lucha Bros just won a tag team title today, which is excellent for them. Andrade is featured he was supposed to be featured in a primary slot there. They know how to feature people in some spots, but for all the talk that they were doing about being a diverse promotion, they haven't shown that yet. And people are spending money on them, coming to them wanting to see that, but it doesn't relay in what we see on television every day. So that's a conversation I'm going to have another day, but it was definitely noticed here. I've written about it. We're going to continue talking about it, continue shining a light on that. I wish some people at the press conference, media scrub afterwards, would ask questions about it, but I doubt that'll happen. So let's go to the first match. Eddie Kingston versus Nero. Big pop of Kingston. People love him. And I love to see that for him. This was a tough match because, Miro is a monster heel. He's not losing that belt anytime soon. I think that Sammy Guevara might be the man to take it from him in the future. But this match is mostly about Miro being a dominating truck that he is, and he did just that. He didn't submit Eddie Kingston. He knocked him out with a second macho kick and pinned him 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring. But that was good. It was a good match. People were really into it because it was the first match of the night. Both guys were over with the crowd. I expect Miro to be in for a long run with this TNT title. Let's go ahead and move on to the second match. Jon Moxley versus Kojima. I really enjoyed this match. We were just talking about it in the group chat. It was the one I recommended that people watch first to kind of ease themselves into the show. But Moxley is super over with the crowd. Kojima was too. He even came out to the heel tunnel, but Kojima's not a heel. Come on, guys. And I would like to see him have a full-time run in AEW. I wouldn't see him anywhere above the mid-card. But Kojima is an enjoyable performer. He looks good in there. He looks in good shape to be. I think he's like in his mid-40s, 46 or something like that. Kojima looks really good. They had some hard-hitting moments in the show. It wasn't necessarily a strong style match. I wouldn't call it that, but it was pretty close to the same thing. And some really good back and forth moments. I like the build up to Kojima hitting with a clothesline. And he actually hit it with his opposite arm, his left arm instead of his right. But I was enjoying this match. The Moxley gets the pin. He hits the Death Rider, gets the pin. The first big surprise of the evening comes here when Minero Suzuki shows up. This is one that I wasn't expecting at all. You knew about the others coming up, but this is one that I had no idea was coming. I didn't hear anybody really talking about it leading into this match. I know people have said that they wish Suzuki was in this match instead of Kojima. Maybe that was the original plan. They had to make a shift last minute because Kojima was already here recently, here being the United States. But man, people lost their shit when Suzuki's music hit because they were surprised to see him. He has some iconic music that people love to sing along to. Singing along to interesting music is just the thing in wrestling that everyone enjoys. But they clash in the middle of the ring. Suzuki gets the better of it, ends up power driving Kojima and get the win. Oh, excuse me, he didn't get a win, but he basically set up their match for this coming Wednesday. I think that's a little bit soon to be having that, but I mean, I'm gonna watch. Looking forward to that for sure. Then we had Britt Baker versus Chris Sadlander, this match was kind of iffy to me, and I'm not quite sure who it is on. I'm not necessarily saying who it's on, but something about Britt's matches they always look rough to me, and this one did as well too. I'm not sure if it was her or if it was Statlander, because Statlander, she looked a little bit rough in some spots too. Like there was a superplex spot in this match where she almost didn't get Baker over, and it looked like Baker wasn't quite helping her as well to help her. Or maybe she couldn't or something like that, but she almost didn't get Baker over, but she did. This match is a little sloppy to me. Fans are into Britt Baker though, like she got a good pop coming out, her D&D got a good reaction from the crowd. She's over. But she doesn't do it for me per se. I would love to see the belt on Big Swole. We're gonna talk about Ruby Soho in a second. Jamie Hayter has to take it off of her. I think Jamie Hayter looks like a star as well too. But hey, Britt Baker is going to be the one getting the attention, getting the nod, getting the rub, and I get that. But that was, this was a good match. There was no questions about it that Statlander wasn't winning that title. It's interesting if you look back, because there was a moment where Statlander was expected to be the one to take it off of Rio, but she got injured after that sloppy ass match in like the early ass beginning of AEW. So maybe it's her. I don't know. But this match did not look as good as I thought it was going to look. It's just a little off in some ways, but these women the fans were into it, the crowd was into it, and everyone that was watching at home that I've talked to so far said that they really enjoyed this match, so that's good to hear. I'm glad for that. Statlander, Baker hits the Panama Sunrise, and this was before Adam Cole comes out. So when she hits it, myself, I looked at that and I was like, oh, well, maybe that means he's not coming so soon. And she's already doing his moves or whatever. But hell, she hit it, and she hit it well too. It looked really good. So she hits that, and she goes to the lockjaw. Statlander passes out. Britt Baker retains. And then we get what I guess most people are calling the big match of the night. Young Bucks, Lucha Bros, Steel Cage, AEW Tag Team title. This match excelled, in my opinion. You knew the minute it was booked that Rey Fenix was going to jump off the top of that cage. You knew that was coming. You didn't know when. You knew it was going to go down. Wasn't quite sure what was going to happen or how it was going to happen, but you knew it was going to go down. That happened. There was blood, mask ripping. There was everything in this match that I really enjoyed. Shenanigans as well. I mean, the Bucks pulled out Jordan with tacks stuck to the bottom of them. Like, what the hell? And then they're super kicking everybody. The entrance to this match, I got a lot of footage on my phone from All Out, and I'm going to parse through them and see what videos I really want to keep. But that one is one of the ones that I really want to keep because they came out. I feel like that's the first time that the Lucha Brothers looked like stars in AEW. They presented them as bona fide stars with that entrance, and you knew they were going to take the title off. And heading into this match, people were kind of like, I'm not sure. They felt like the Bucks run was a little bit over, but that moment there, you knew it was time to put the title on the Bucks, and that's exactly what they did. It was a great match. I really enjoyed it from start to finish, and I wouldn't change a thing about it at all. I love the spot where they before I go into that, the match stipulation was either by pinfall or submission. So I'm guessing that AEW looks at using their cage a little bit differently because they haven't done a cage. This is their second cage match, and you don't have to climb over, you don't have to escape to win. Instead, you win by pinfall or sub. And I guess it's more about keeping people out rather than keeping people in, which I can get behind. I'm liking that wrinkle to their booking. What else? The Mexican standoff spot with the super kicks was fantastic to me. I always laugh at Mexican standoffs. They're hilarious. I'm not even sure why they're called Mexican standoffs, but they're great. I also like the spot where the older brothers, Matt and Kenta, finished off the younger brothers and then rolled into the ring and started going at it. I love that spot as well too because it kind of signifies something for me. I'm not an older brother or anything like that, but that moment definitely stood out to me as well, especially with Kenta taking the blow for Ray as well too when they brought out the shoes with the tags on them. That was another good spot there too as well. But the Lucha Brothers win, and it's long overdue. I can't wait to see them have a long run, and I hope that they don't get caught up as a piece of the story with Andrade versus Pac. As you know, that match was supposed to be on the show tonight too, but it was moved to accommodate travel issues. And that will be happening this Friday now on Rampage instead of on this show, but they built that inside. They kind of included that in the story here with Andrade talking about Pop and talking about why he's not there and kind of blaming it on Chavo. I'm looking forward to that match. They have an opportunity to do something big there, and I hope that they do. Then we go to the Women's Battle Royal. Sky Blue, she got a good pop. She was a part of the first group that came out. She was the first one tossed. So I was kind of surprised by that. So I'm wondering if they maybe don't keep her around. I thought that they probably would. But she looks really good. She looks like good. I want to see more of her. Abaddon has an amazing look. And it's so different from everything else on AEW roster. I still don't think it's what AEW wants out of their performers though, but she definitely has a really unique look on that roster, and that's really kind of what always stands out to me amongst the women. That the ones who step outside of that cookie cutter mold, I really like what I see from them. And I mean, I'm not so much into her ring work, but her look definitely does it for me. Let's see what else happens on this card. Anna Jay got a pretty good pop. She came out. Taikachi did as well. They continued that angle of them and fighting against Penelope Ford and the Bunny. So that kind of continued on tonight. Hikaru Shida was in the match. And that tells you kind of how big of an impact she had, because I really don't even remember what she did. Same with Rio. She was in the match as well too. She didn't have too much of an impact. Then we had let's see, Big Swole and Diamante came out. Big Swole eliminated Diamante and then got tossed right out after her. Nyla Rose and Jade Cargill were cleaning out the ring. Jade had tossed out 2 women. I think Nyla tossed out a couple more than that, but Nyla turns on Jade and throws her out. But probably the most important moment of the night, well, not the most important, but an important moment of the night was with this Joker card, which is the second, I guess you can call it the second surprise of the evening with Ruby Soho's debut in AEW. When her music hit, the crowd went apeshit, and I loved seeing that for her. She had a big smile on her face. You could tell she was trying to fight back some of the emotions. And because with Ruby, she had a hard run in WWE that she should have been better utilized. I know we say that a lot about a lot of the different names that come out of the WWE, but with Ruby, she was really mismanaged. And then she had the injury to one shoulder, but I think she had both of her shoulders worked on. And it's hard to see someone of her stature. She was used like they knew she could be a pillar in the women's division, but they just never did anything with her. The last portion of her run for WWE was probably the most heartbreaking, where her and Liv could have really done some good things together as women's tag team title champions, but they were just like, no, and then they jettisoned her away earlier this year, like it was nothing. And seeing her promos and the reactions that people were having to her promo videos over these last few months has been really enjoyable. Seeing her come to AEW, and win the Battle Royal, because she and Thunder Rose are the last two in the ring, and she eliminates Rosa to get the victory. In my opinion, she has to be the one who breaks the Battle Royal curse. I didn't even realize this the last night I was talking to Phil about this. No one that has won the Battle Royal, no one has won the Battle Royal has won the title challenge. Not one. Brian Cage lost, Scorpio Sky lost, Pac and Ray Phoenix lost, Jungle Boy, he lost, Adam Page lost the first one. No one has. And I think it will be an interesting wrinkle to throw in Ruby Soho here and see if she could pick up the victory. I think that would be a nice little change of pace. I don't know if it happens, but she's someone I think that could win and be a solid addition to this roster. And I wonder what that is going to look like, because she is going to, I think she's going to be a big star here. And I look forward to seeing more from her. I've always been a fan of Ruby. She was the one out of the Riot Squad that I really love. She just has such an original look to her. As I said about Abaddon, I think that that's really what stands out to me when it comes to the women on the roster. Who looks different? Who feels different? It doesn't feel like one of those cookie cutter individuals that we try to throw out there all the time. And I really hope that she has the best run that she can have while in this promotion. I hope that we're talking about her as a champion at some point in the future. I'm definitely adding Ruby Soho to my gym mix as well too. MJF versus Jericho. I went to the bathroom during this match because I was not interested. Period. I'm just not interested in MJF and Chris Jericho against each other or as individuals anymore. I said it most of the times on this podcast. I just have to, like, Chris Jericho I can't get behind him, and he's just not it for me anymore. He really comes off sometimes as that old man that's still trying to be cool. And I get it. He was long one of my favorite wrestlers, but these last 2 to 3 years, just not it for me. And then we have MJF, and his whole character of being a douchebag is just a turn off to me. He's like a different type of douchebag that I just, like, I don't want to pay to see him get punched in the face. I just don't. I haven't really been invested in any of his feuds. I do want to see Wardlow turn on him, because I think that Wardlow is somewhat another one of those names, someone who can be a big draw for AEW in the future. Wardlow looks like $1,000,000. He made an appearance during this match, and Jake Hager, like he made to save for Chris Jericho. I can't stand Jake Hager, but Wardlow looks like someone who looks like $1,000,000 and will be big money for AEW sometime in the future. But Jericho gets the win here. Why? Why did Jericho need to defeat MJF? What good does that do for MJF? What can you go with him next? You can't go back to Jericho back in the time. Like where did either one of these guys go with Jericho getting the win here? If MJF took the win, I think he would have became a credible challenger. There really isn't anywhere these guys can go from this feud. I hope they bring it into the Pinnacle versus Inner Circle. I don't care about seeing any of those guys in any of those factions anymore, except for LAX, Sammy Guevara as well. But the rest of them can just go away. As far as I'm concerned, I was not here for this match. But the match that everybody was here for, CM Punk versus Darby Allen. This one, I believe it delivered. Punk's entrance got over very huge. I liked the Darby video to begin. Darby Allen comes off as a star, and he comes off as a star as a homegrown talent that AEW kind of invested in. That's why when they say that they're not building up any new names, or okay, let me phrase that. On one hand, when I look at WWE and they don't build up any young names, I look at someone like a Darby Allen and say that's how you're supposed to build up a new name. That's how you get fans behind someone new. Then at the same time, I look at Darby Allen and I say, why can't you do that with Scorpio Sky? Why are you going to do that with Dante Martin? Why are you going to do that with Tyler Party? Are you going to do that with Will Hobbs? Are you going to do that with Lee Johnson? Sign Lee Moriarty and do that with him. There's so many guys out there, and that's what's really important about this conversation. I hope that we are talking about them doing the same with those individuals in the future. I hope that we do see that. But Darby Allin was the perfect individual for this match with CM Punk. They worked a steady pace, which I was really paying attention to because I wanted to see what Punk's cardio looked like in this match. 7 years away, he still looks in good shape. He looked physically in good shape as well too when he took off his jacket. He's wearing tights, no more trunks. I like the tights. I'm more of a tight guy myself. His offense looked very good. He looked like he was able to keep up. A good point of reference here, they started this match between Punk and Allen the same exact way Bret Hart versus 1-2-3 Kid Sean Waltman started in 1994. Arm drag to the facial expression. That right there, that is a touch to my heart. Cause I remember watching that match as a little kid. I was 10 when that match happened. 10. 17 years ago. They started off this match the same exact way, and that got to me. Punk took a lot of offense from Darby as well too, which was good because it helped Darby get over. That's when even in a loss, Darby looked stronger here, and that's what's important about properly booking people building up to big matches. Because even in a loss, he could come back on Wednesday and have a big match against someone, and fans will be ready to see it. That's why you build these guys up, the way you build them up. Then we had Punk getting the victory, which everyone kind of expected. He, Sting, and Allen stood in the ring and had a moment of respect between the three individuals. For a hot second, I thought he was going to hit the GPS to go to sleep on Sting. For a hot second. Did not happen. But he had quite the celebration as well. I liked how he teased. I don't know if they showed this on camera, but he teased going through the heel tunnel and went through the face tunnel, which I thought was pretty funny. Everybody was there for that. Paul White versus QT Marshall. Now, this match was A lot of people were shitting on the fact that it was not on the pre-show, but it was in the perfect slot here, the perfect slot, because it was quick, dirty, and it was meant to help get people a chance to rest, bathroom, whatever it may be, before Omega versus Cage. Now, the crowd was still kind of drained for a majority of Omega versus Cage, but Big Show over-delivered here. I like what I saw from him. He hit all of his big moments. When he was coming out, I thought he kind of stumbled a little bit, and I was kind of worried about him there. But he delivered. He didn't need to do too much. He stood in the middle of the ring. 3 guys bounced off of him left and right. I want to see a match between him and Comoroto in the future. But, I mean, the Big Show did what he needed to do. He got the victory here and went about his way. I think he overachieved and performed. Kenny Omega versus Christian Cage as the main event. Now, they did. AEW does a good job of setting the cards up well, because a lot of people were wondering if Punk versus Allen was going to be the main event. But instead, they got Omega versus Cage, and the crowd was definitely tired in this match. And Cage and Omega were working their ass off. They were working out there. Like they were working boots, tights, hair ties, contacts, tape, everything. They had their working everything on tonight, because they were out there working like dogs. And they delivered what was a good match, but the fans just weren't excited for it. They weren't hyped for it. I guess that they were tired. It was a long show, 5 hours, and they knew something was going to happen at the end. So we get to the end. Okay? Omega wins. There's some shenanigans, not as much as you would expect for the Elite. There were some shenanigans. Omega wins, and he is talking about no one can beat him. They're either dead, retired, or in another organization. Lights go out. I think it's Daniel Bryan. It's Adam Cole. Adam Cole's been a free agent for maybe a week. People were talking about all week about him making his decision between AEW and WWE. Well, he's made his decision. And yeah, it was a big one. He comes out. He looks like he's going to be sending across from the Elite, and he super kicks Cage dead in the face. And they're like, yo, they laugh and they joke about it. They're like, he's one of our best friends. So they talk about that moment, and they talk about how the Elite is back together. And right before they sign off, Bryan Danielson debut walks through that curtain. The fans go absolute bonkers. He comes down to the ring, and he and the babyfaces, Jungle Boy, Cage, and Luchasaurus clear the ring, and he's here. And he gave a very impassioned speech about why he's here. I'm actually going to write about that tomorrow. But this is a moment like that. That was a big moment, and Daniel Bryan, Adam Cole, and CM Punk all debuted within a month. Weeks of each other, because it was weeks. August 20th is when Punk debuted. Weeks. Dude, this is where we are now. This very well could be the next edition of The Outsider that we see, because they made that big drop, and let's see if that really kind of starts to drive the conversation between AEW and WWE, which is huge. They had a lot to say in the media call afterwards. I'm going to look through some of the notes there that people were tweeting out. That was big, and I think it was a huge moment. This was a great show from start to finish. I really want to see what is going to happen next. How does WWE respond to this? They have to up their game, because people are looking at their content like, yo, the content is not good. They have these deals in place. They have these high money deals in place that are killing them right now, because they're making all of this money off of these big money deals, but the content just isn't there. And AEW is giving wrestling fans what they want, wrestling. So hopefully we'll see some type of response, and both of these shows will rise, or AEW will continue to rise and WWE will be stagnant, or start to go even further in the opposite direction. But either way, I and this podcast will be here to talk about that. My name is Raphael Garcia. This is episode 97 of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. You can hit me up at rgarcia_sports. I thank you everyone who has listened to the show. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I love you all. Have a good night. Stay safe. Get vaccinated where you're at.